Good morning. My name is Dana Delbonis, and I'm a board member of the Funeral Consumers Alliance of Rhode Island. For most of my life, you could say I was very traditional. When I thought about my own death and burial, I thought I would be in an all-wooden casket and have a traditional burial in a cemetery. So much so that when I was in my 30s and my dad kept encouraging me to buy cemetery plots, I went out to buy 4. But as I've gotten older, my preferences have changed. Before my husband passed in 2012, he specifically told me he wanted to be cremated. No big affair, no viewing, no mass, no big dollars. So I honored his wishes. He was cremated. His ashes were interred in one of the 4 cemetery plots we had purchased years before. We had a memorial service and we went out to eat. So here I am now going to follow right along with what my husband did over 8 years ago. For those of you who are not familiar with cremation, let me review a few things. First of all, how popular do you think cremation is? At the beginning of this year, CANA, which is the Cremation Association of North America, estimated that cremations would be chosen about 55% this year. In 2023, it will be close to 60%, and Rhode Island will be close to 58%. Why? It's economical and it's simple. It allows much more flexibility in funeral and memorial services, and it uses less land resources than traditional earth burial. In cremation, the body is placed in a rigid combustible container. Federal law requires that all funeral providers must make inexpensive cremation containers available to you. You can make or furnish your own. Caskets are not required for cremation. Cremation is a process that uses intense heat and dehydration to reduce the body to ashes and bone fragments, typically referred to as cremated remains. The crematorium will probably return the cremated returns to you in a plastic or wooden container perfectly adequate for burial, shipping, storing, or placing in a columbarium. Sometimes funeral homes will encourage you to purchase a decorative urn, but it is not a necessity unless it's something you want to purchase. Most religions do permit cremation, but they will also require you to have the cremated remains buried or entombed, not scattered. But Orthodox Muslim, Greek Orthodox, and Orthodox Jews, and some fundamentalist Protestant groups do not. 8 years ago, I needed a funeral director to help me, but I was able to choose the crematory. Some crematories will only work with licensed funeral directors and will not accept the body from the family. So that is a question you need to ask. Now, some funeral homes have crematories. A very affordable option is direct cremation. The body is cremated shortly after death. There is no embalming, there's no viewing, and there's no visitation. But what if you want viewing and a service before cremation? A casket for viewing can be rented from the funeral home. After the service, the body is transferred to an alternative container for cremation. Some crematories offer witnessing rooms for those who wish to see the casket placed in the retort. That's similar to witnessing a casket being lowered into a grave. Direct cremation, the paperwork, basic service fee, transportation, container for cremation, and then the crematory fee is usually about $1,500 and up. But adding renting a casket, visiting hours for viewing, and a funeral service will increase the price. If you're using a funeral home and they use a third-party crematory, as I did, the cremation charge is usually between $300 and $400. Please be sure to check with the funeral home that the cremation charge is included in the quoted price, or is it additional? Shop around. Take a field trip when you don't need these services. All funeral homes and cremation businesses must provide prices over the phone. But if you appear at their door, they're obligated by law to provide you with a current general price list. Take a field trip. What's going to be done with the ashes? They can be kept exactly the way you got them from the crematory. You could buy a decorative container. You can use a vase or an urn. You can keep them on your bookshelf. You can divide them among family members. You can scatter them. You can bury them. But the most important consideration of all is what is going to happen to them when you die. Your ashes may be transported, they may be mailed, they may be carried by hand to another destination. If you're carrying them on a plane, CANA, which is the Cremation Association of North America, has recommendations on their website, cremationassociation.org. CANA is the leading industry expert, and their website offers considerable information for the consumer. Thank you very much.